There we go.
Sorry, Chair.
That's okay.
I have to say that I like this development. It's sustainable. We are just going into Brexit, the end of Brexit, and getting our tomatoes locally is much better than getting from Holland, I think. So I can't see any problems with it. It's something which I could support, I'm sure. And I like the idea that it's reusing heat and water to both water the plants and also to take the runoff from the roof. I think it's a very sound design. So, as I say, I don't know what else others would say, but I find it very acceptable. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Gardner.
As the councillor whose ward is the closest to this, I am fully supportive, and it's interesting. We began this today with a complex and quite contentious application, and I think this is at the other end of the field. It's the irony of the planning system that although the glass houses themselves are considered to be appropriate in the green belt, the accoutrement that required to function them in a sustainable way are not. So I think that this is an application that, as Councillor Redstone has already said, should be supported, and I'd be happy to move approval in accordance with the officer's recommendation.
Thank you very much. Councillor Hogben.
Yeah, I'm not going to make any facetious comments about people who live in glass houses, nor am I going to refer to Brexit, a subject I would rather not even think about at this moment. So I'm happy though to second the proposition for this development, and certainly endorse those comments that Councillor Redstone has made. And I'm sure that in the not too distant future we'll all have to be growing our own and eating and well, supporting local agriculture and local business. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Does anybody else wish to speak in the debate before I move to the vote? No, so we will move to the vote, and I will go down the list. And we had 2 people complaining last time, so we'll go with Councillor Phil Williams. For, against, or not voting?
You've given me an easy one to kick off with. I wouldn't have been so happy if it had been a complex one. Yes, I'm for.
Thank you very much. Councillor Susie Akers-Smith, you now going second instead of first.
I can't move.
Are you for? Against? You're muted, Susie.
For, thank you.
Thank you very much. So, Councillor Steve Edgar.
For.
Councillor Ashley Farrell.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Peter Groves.
For, Chair.
Thank you very much. Councillor David Jeffrey.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Steve Ogden.
For.
Thank you very much, Steve. Councillor Brian Puddicombe.
For.
Thank you very much, Brian. Councillor Patrick Redstone. Thank you very much. You did say for then, did you, Councillor Redstone? And I think you might have been on mute.
He's muted.
I hear what you said.
I said I am for this proposal, if you want the full version. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Councillor Jackie Wetherill.
For, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. And myself, I'm for it too, so that's passed unanimously. Thank you very much.
Excuse me.
Councillor Gardner, sorry. Gardner.
No, I'm not. Yeah, Councillor Gardner. Sorry, Stuart.
For.
Thank you. I'd already wrote for by his name, to be honest with you, because I knew he'd proposed it. That's why I missed him. Sorry, Stuart. I do apologise. We will now move to item number 8, which is update the following resolution to approve application 20/0901C. part full/part outline application proposing 1 full planning application for an employment development, class uses B2 and B8 with ancillary use B1 floor space, security gates out, weighbridge and provision of associated infrastructure, including a substation, plant, pumping station, service yards, car and HGV parking, cycle and waste storage, landscaping, ecological enhancement area, drainage, attenuation, access from ERF Way, realignment of the River Crowcoat tributary, and then 2, outline application for the employment development use class uses B2, B8, with ancillary use B1 floor space with all the detailed matters except for access reserved for future determination, phase 4B and 1B, magnitude of ER Way, Middlewich for Magnitude Land Limited and Swizzles Matlow Limited. Mr. Malcolm.
Thank you, Chair. I suspect it might have taken you longer to read that out than it might be my introduction to this, to be honest. But I think members, if you refer to paragraph 5.3 on page 100 of your agenda, just clarifies what this is doing. Effectively, it was back in June when this application came to members. I think it might be one of our first virtual meetings at the time. In effect, all we're doing on this one is we indicated in the report when we brought this to members, which they approved, resolved to approve, was a review mechanism as part of the 106. That review mechanism didn't actually make it into the minutes of the meeting, and therefore, effectively, what we're seeking to do is, as listed on page 96, which is to include within the section 106 the heads of terms, the words that's subject to a review mechanism to be agreed with Cheshire East Council for plot 4B phase 2, 4B phase 3 and plot 1B. So in effect, it just makes sure that we basically get the appropriate funding going into the future phases for the Middlewich Eastern bypass. So it's a bit of a sort of top and tailing in terms of the detail, but it doesn't change anything significantly in terms of the original application, hence the reason why it's a very short report. So it's recommended to just include that additional line as in bold on page 96. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. There are no public speakers again, so we can move straight to questions to officers if there are any. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Malcolm? Okay, Councillor David Jeffrey and then Councillor Stuart Gardner.
Thanks, Chair. Mr. Malcolm, so am I right in interpreting that as the applicant's going to want to reduce the contributions in the future?
It's one of those where it could go up and it could go down, because this is the point about the review mechanism in this instance is about it's to do with the developable area of the remainder of midpoint 18 and costs of the bypass. So effectively, they are both sort of variables to an extent. The £30 a square metre is if you like, is a fairly consistent figure that the council have been using for recent developments on midpoint 18. But effectively, the applicants wanted the flexibility to review that for future phases. And to be honest, we're happy to support that because it could be one of those that goes up or down depending upon what those costs are. So that review mechanism is just to review that. But the benchmark figure will be £30 a square metre. It will then be dependent if more developable floor space can come along on midpoint 18 through other applications at the time those additional phases come forward, then it might be slightly lower because that's what we're basing it on. But similarly, the cost of the bypass are also going up, so it might also be that it might actually slightly go up. So the review mechanism is a sort of it is definitely one of these that could go up or down. It's not a fixed figure, and it's something that's been subject to great discussion between the council and the developer in this instance.
Okay. Are you okay with that, Councillor Jeffrey?
So the £30 benchmark figure, is that staying the same? Is it just the square footage that we're reviewing, or are we? Is the figure itself up for review as well?
So for phase one, the figure is £30 a square metre, and that's by far the sort of largest part of the site anyway. It's the future phases where we will be basically, the review mechanism is basically based on a formula, which will be based upon, so at the moment, the way Highways have calculated this is that they have an indication of the floor space for the remainder of development on midpoint 18 is X, if you like, and therefore they're dividing X to whatever the cost of the bypass, the shortfall of bypass is, and that produces your £30 a square metre based upon what we know now. In the future, depending on what happens with the remainder of development of midpoint 18, if, for example, there's much more floor space generated somehow through, I don't know, perhaps going upwards, that some of the buildings are higher than the traditional sort of single span 16, 80 metre high warehouses, then it might be that there is suddenly more floor space created, and therefore that could naturally reduce the £30 a square metre downwards. But similarly, the costs of the bypass are also going up. So there's a funding mechanism here about balancing the increase in any floor space if that happens, any increase in costs with the bypass as they come forward, because the whole point about this is to deliver a holistic scheme. The bypass enables the delivery of the employment sites. We want the employment sites, but they come at if you like, at a cost to deliver a contribution towards the bypass. So it's a bit of a complex figure moving forwards, but we've always maintained from day one that the £30 a square metre is the benchmark figure that we would work from today. And that's the point. We have to work on something today, but it's fair enough to say let's have a review mechanism in the future, which is what this is now seeking to do. And we alluded to that in the previous report. It's just it didn't actually filter its way through to the actual minutes of the meeting. So it's always been known. It's just we never got it through to the minutes. So we just need to sort of correct that formally through bringing this back to members.
Okay. Yeah. We basically get the same amount of money. It's just that some people, if there's more space, it just means the contributions spread out a little bit more. That's all. It doesn't. We still get the same amount of money. We might even get more money if the costs go up. So, it's no problem. Right? Are you okay now, Councillor Jeffrey?
Kind of. I'm because something David just said. Then, if the price goes up for the bypass, if that goes up, then we might need more. But surely the developer can't work on that basis. They have to have budgeted for it, so we can't be asking for more. So my problem is I can only see this going one way, and that's what worries me. But that's debate. So thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. Right, Councillor Stuart Gardner.
My reading of this is slightly different to Councillor Jeffrey's, and that is that we're trying to make something implicit. There was something explicit that was implicit. This strikes me as something quite standard in the way that we calculate the costings of off-site works, and so therefore I would be happy to propose that we go with officer recommendation unless colleagues persuade me otherwise. Okay,
Councillor Susie Akers-Smith.
Sorry, very last question of the day. It was just a point of clarity since I was here. None of the application conditions is asking for cycle storage, and I just wondered if that had to be included in that, if that was going to be done, and if that's the case, can it be put in the condition, and can the cycle storage be made secure? Because bikes are expensive, and if you want people to cycle to work, you need to be able to lock them up.
Thank you very much. David?
I'm just looking through the conditions myself, to be honest. I mean, the scheme was obviously quite a big scheme. As you can see, it's got numerous conditions on it. I haven't actually got the plans in front of me either. There was certainly some, if I recall, I'm sure there was some cycle storage as part of the scheme.
Yeah, I think there was. I think there was on the last one, but
yeah, we can. I mean, ultimately, yeah, we are reviewing it. We can include that if we need to. So I mean, obviously the outline application. So it'd be on the full application part of that scheme. I mean, what I'll do is I'll check and confirm if there isn't. Like I said, I'm pretty sure it was, because we spent a bit of time looking at that last time. So I'll basically I'll check it, but I think pretty sure it's on the plan. I remember seeing something on it anyway. If it's not on the plan, then we'll put an extra condition on.
Oh, thanks, David.
Thank you very much. Right. Does anybody else have any questions? Right. So if we can go back to Stuart, I think he wants to propose accept. You can do that, verbalise that now, Stuart.
Yes, I formally propose that we accept the officer's recommendation.
Thank you very much. And Peter, would you like to second?
I'm more than happy to second, Chair. Thank you.
That's fantastic. So we'll go to the vote. So again, if we can do for, against or not voting. Councillor Phil Williams.
For.
Thank you very much. Councillor Susie Aker-Smith.
You're making me laugh now. Well, now they've got secure cycle parking, definitely for.
Thank you very much, Susie. Councillor Steve Edgar.
For.
Councillor Ashley Farrell.
For.
Thank you very much. Councillor Stuart Gardner.
For.
Councillor Peter Groves.
For.
Thank you very much, Peter. Councillor David Jeffrey.
Not voting, just because I don't think I really understand it. But.
Okay. Councillor Steve Ogburn.
For.
Thank you, Steve. Councillor Brian Puddicombe.
For.
Councillor Patrick Redstone.
For.
Councillor Jackie Wetherill.
For, Mr. Chairman.
And I'm for myself, so that's one abstention. That's gone through. Thank you very much. And that was the last item. So thank everybody for attending today. I know it's been a long one, but I think the application in Macclesfield deserved the time that we give it. This is obviously the last strategic planning board before Christmas. So what I will say is I hope Santa Claus brings everybody what they want. Please don't get too drunk. Please enjoy yourself. And I'd like to thank everybody so far this year for the year taking part in the meetings. I think our meetings have been exemplary and I'm very proud to chair this committee.